The Council of Education has confirmed that there will be no rewrite of the Mathematics Paper 2 and Physical Science Paper 2. The rewrites of the two matric papers were scheduled to take place on the 15th and 17th of December, respectively. This comes after the Pretoria High Court on Friday declared the decision to have the matric rewrites irregular and unlawful. For more on this, I'm now joined by Department of Basic Education spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga. Elijah, thank you so much for your time. Now, firstly, how did the department come to the decision to not have this rewrite? Is it largely to do with the court decision?
Good afternoon, Unati. Yeah, that's correct. We studied the judgment and we felt that the best thing to do was to comply with it insofar as the rewrite is concerned, because the judgment came very late on Friday afternoon. Even if we wanted to maneuver, it was very difficult to do so because we didn't have time, and we looked at the various aspects of it. We felt that regarding the rewrite, we just need to go along with the judgment, but focus on other parts of the judgment that really need to be challenged.
All right, so the judgment came in late Friday afternoon, yet you've made this decision today. Now, you've previously said if the rewrite doesn't happen, there would be serious integrity with the results. What is your position now?
Well, it remains because the rewrite was meant to remove the cloud hanging over the examination, seeing that some question papers were leaked, unfortunately, and the investigation in that regard is still underway. So we felt that in order to restore confidence in the examination, we needed to request everyone to come back and rewrite Mathematics Paper 2, as well as Physical Sciences Paper 2, so that we're able to proceed with certainty. Right now, we are proceeding, but we don't know what the final outcome will be of the investigation, 1, and 2. We don't know what Umalusi will say when it comes to their announcement on whether the results can be released to the candidates or not, simply because we still have a situation where the exams are compromised because of the leaks that have taken place.
Now, when the department took that decision to have these two papers rewritten, there was a lot of upheaval, especially from matriculants, saying that they're losing faith in the Department of Education. You can imagine, as these news come, there are probably a lot of relieved matriculants, but also very uncertain. They're listening to you now. Where to? What are the next steps from the department, especially as it speaks to the rewrite?
Well, the rewrite is not taking place. That's confirmed. The next thing for the department to do is to proceed with the work that was there to do after the exam has been written, which is preparing for marking, which commences on the 4th of January 2021, and will continue to collate the figures, the data, that will then submit to Umalusi, who will then make a pronouncement on the 15th of February in terms of the management plan, which we have in place. So what happens thereafter really is what Umalusi will have to talk to the nation about. But as for the department, we'll do everything that we are required to do in terms of the administration of the examination regulations, that is finalizing the marking and handing over the work to Umalusi to then talk about the quality assurance, which involves looking into the credibility, the integrity, and the fairness of the examination. So it's a waiting game for now to see what the final outcome is going to be. But, we had hoped that the court would assist us and bring some clarity, but it did not, because it didn't really deal with the issue of the credibility, the integrity, and fairness of the examination. Instead, it focused on the rewrite itself, which the department had hoped to use to try clean up the examination and just fix the issues that have happened as a result of the question papers that have been leaked. But unfortunately, we are here now. It's going to be another period of uncertainty until such time that we get a final announcement from Umalusi.
All right, speaking about Umalusi, let's park that for now and go into that court judgment where you say that you are seeking a lot of clarity. You have accepted that the rewrite will not happen. So you have accepted that this was indeed even unlawful to have to begin with. What else do you have a problem with the judgment around? What are some of the contentious issues that the basic department is not understanding about this ruling?
Well, we have not accepted that the decision was unlawful, because the decision was taken through the processes of the sector, where all the key stakeholders and the various platforms that exist were duly in place. For example, in the judgment, the court says the Council of Education Ministers is not a formal body, which is incorrect, because the Council of Education Ministers is established in terms of Section 9 of the National Education Policy Act. So by saying CEM is not a formal body, you are then challenging its authority. And we feel that that cannot be correct, because it was established in terms of the law and it's out there in the public for people to see. So it means that somewhere in the writing of the judgment, there was a rush. We understand that it's an urgent judgment that needed to be handed down, but also a cursory look at the basic education laws could have assisted the court to see that, in fact, CEM is a body that is formal, that has the authority to drive the basic education sector.
And in fact, talking about the Council of Education, in the statement, the Council of Education had earlier said it agreed that the matric class of 2020 had been confronted by many challenges brought by COVID-19 pandemic, and it would be unfair to subject them to further uncertainties. So then one would have to question then who is, who is the Council of Education a majority, the membership of, and in fact, one would then have to somehow agree with that judgment in terms of the Council of Education deciding that the papers would have to be rewritten, yet saying that it would be unfair to subject them to further uncertainties. Unpack exactly why this decision was then made, even though the Council of Education had those sentiments.
Okay, what we are talking about there is that if, for example, we were to challenge the ruling on the basis of the rewriting, that would mean that the anxiety would be extended beyond just Tuesday and Thursday, which were the days that had been set down for the writing of maths and physical sciences respectively. And it would extend the time for decision making and clarity to be provided on when that was going to take place. So we feel that it was not in the best interest of the learners for us to continue to challenge that particular aspect of the rewrite. Rather, let that go. We cancel the rewriting preparations and rather proceed with marking or the finalization of whatever papers that remain, but then continue to do the marking and rather focus on the other aspects that are not time-bound, because the rewriting is time-bound, and we felt that because it is time-bound, the judgment came very late. It's also December. The exam is also coming to an end. We wouldn't like to add further stress to still be in the courts trying to challenge the decision to rewrite on Tuesday and Thursday. Anyway, there's no time for that, because the decision from the courts came yesterday in the afternoon at 4 p.m. and the writing was scheduled to take place on Tuesday. So that does not give you much time if you are insisting that the rewriting must take place. But if you are going to say, let the rewrite go, we're not going to do it, then it's better, then there's clarity. Then people who were scheduled to be going back into an exam room on Tuesday and Thursday will no longer have to do that. Then that part is sorted out. We don't have a problem with, we don't want to insist on it, but there are other aspects, as I've already indicated, that we feel should not go unchallenged.
Another aspect that the judge spent some time in, Judge Davis, before making his decision, was that he couldn't find really who made that decision to rewrite those papers in the first place, while the department, yourselves, are insisting that it is the DG's decision. The judge stated that he couldn't find that anywhere, that evidence. So who made that decision for the rewriting to go ahead?
That is very interesting, because he spent time, as we indicate, he spent time on that particular aspect, even though it was not challenged in court. None of the applicants actually said they needed to know who made the decision. There was no challenge, there was no contention as to who made the decision, and people wanted to just challenge the rewriting decision, not who made the decision. If that had been challenged, then we would have prepared accordingly and would have demonstrated in the court papers that indeed the decision was made at the right platform. But again, it just demonstrates the lack of understanding of how the basic education system operates. It's got many layers. You've got the Department of Basic Education, you've got the provinces, and then you've got the Council of Education Ministers, and you also have the heads of education departments. You've got all those platforms that come together. There's no decision that can be made without those different platforms having to come together to deliberate on key issues that are there in the basic education sector. If that was challenged, if that was a bone of contention, we would have gone all out to make sure that we demonstrate where the decision was made. The regulations are very clear in terms of who must make the decision, and that is there on record. We could demonstrate in the courts, but unfortunately, no one had challenged the who made the decision part.
All right, Elijah Mhlanga from the Department of Basic Education, thank you so much for your time.